I was hoping you might be able to help me. And of course I would. I- bless you. You gotta do the right thing. And so we probably talked for 45 minutes or an hour. And at that time, your brain goes back to that incident, and you start running things through your head, and what would have been helpful, for me, what would have been helpful for my kids, what would have been helpful for my wife, and all those
Mm.
things. And that's where I went. I said, I'm just sharing this with you. This is what we did. That doesn't mean it's the right medicine for you all, but you're asking me, and this is, I've never studied this, but this is anecdotally, this is what kind of helped us.
Yeah.
And I said,
At
um,
least gave him a place to start.
yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah.
something.
So,
Yeah.
so, I gave him some ideas for him, which were different than the ideas for his wife, which were different than his ideas for his kids.
Right.
And I said, here's what we're going to do. I am not going to talk to you tomorrow because it's a Sunday, and I said you are going to be inundated with calls from people you haven't heard from, and it's more important for you to hear all those voices than to hear my voice again. And I said, but what I will do is I will call you on Monday. So early Monday afternoon, I reached out to him. I said, I know it's a silly question, but how's it going?
Yeah.
And he's like, no, I get it. I get it. So we got to talk, and I said, tell me, what more can I do for you? How can I help? And he's like, man, you've done enough already. What do you mean? He said, my kids have already connected. They got appointment. My wife's connected, got appointment. I connected, and I got an appointment.
Oh,
So, that was probably the first big one, that I dealt with, because that was close, because he's a friend of mine, and
yeah.
and no one ever wants to see family or friends be in that predicament.
No.
So so it's essentially what I'm trying to get to here, Robin, is um, eventually, in my research, what I saw was there were programs out there for different audiences.
Mhm.
Some really good post-vention programs out there for the military. There's
Yeah.
some really good post-vention programs out there for dentists, for veterinarians,
Interesting.
police officers.